Planned Parenthood is white supremacy. I know that statement is provocative and basically clickbait, but it is true. Planned Parenthood is white supremacy, and I don't mean the kind of white supremacy SJWs scream about when the media tells them to. And it's not the white supremacy of your folksy grandmother and her off-color racist remarks. No, Planned Parenthood has a long, sordid history of being used to control the population of blacks and other minorities while telling them and everyone else that they are liberating them. It's insidious, it's evil, and your taxes are paying for it. I'll break this topic down into two parts: Planned Parenthood in America and their abortion industry overseas under the umbrella of the IPPF, or the International Planned Parenthood Federation. Most people have heard the allegation that Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist and a white supremacist. She surrounded herself with out-and-out eugenicists who sought ways to address the so-called black problem. That is, what does a white society do with people who aren't white? People like Adolphus Knopf and Nazi enthusiast Lothrop Stoddard, who called the Nazi eugenics policy humane and scientific. And then there was Dr. Harry Laughlin, another Sanger associate and board member for her group, who not only hated poor black and brown people, he often spoke fondly of purifying America's human breeding stock and purging America's bad strains. This included the shiftless, ignorant, and worthless class of antisocial whites of the South. So the founding members of Planned Parenthood were not only avowed white supremacists, they were also tools of the economic and transnational rootless elites. Not to be outdone by her male Nazi-sympathizing peers, Sanger often spoke of sterilizing the unfit, calling it the salvation of American civilization. She referred to Catholics like myself as irresponsible and reckless, and sought to prevent us from reproducing as well, feeding into the most sacred of all American traditions, anti-Catholicism. Of Catholics, she said that there is no doubt in the minds of all thinking people that the procreation of this group should be stopped. Her principal target for labeling unfit were African Americans, whom she particularly hated. The following comes from blackgenocide.org. Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion provider in America. 78% of their clinics are in minority communities. Blacks make up 12% of the population, but 35% of the abortions in America. Are we being targeted? Isn't that genocide? We're the only minority in America that is on the decline in population. If the current trend continues, by 2038 the black vote will be insignificant. Did you know that the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, was a devout racist who created the Negro Project designed to sterilize unknowing black women and others she deemed as undesirables of society? The founder of Planned Parenthood said, "Colored people are like human weeds and are to be exterminated." Is her vision being fulfilled today? Now I know what you're thinking. What does the racist attitudes of the founders from 80 years ago have to do with today? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the practices of Planned Parenthood today fit perfectly in line with a white supremacist group that is quietly orchestrating a government-funded genocide. If the practices today were done by the KKK, everybody would scream bloody murder. Here's what I mean. First, let's talk about Planned Parenthood's locations. According to Life Institute's research in 2012, 79% of Planned Parenthood locations are within walking distance of neighborhoods that are the homes of poor racial minority women. Again, links are in the description. Even worse, 88% of all Planned Parenthood abortion mills target women of color specifically. Let's dive into these numbers. 80% target black communities, 56% target Hispanic Latino neighborhoods, and 80% target one or more colleges. In total, 96%, 24 out of their 25, of the mega abortion mills target women of color, college women, or both. In recent years, Planned Parenthood has built 25 abortion mega mills, which are over 10,000 square feet in size, and they place them in urban centers, clearly targeting racial minorities. When Life Issues Institute conducted their 2010 study, they found that Planned Parenthood consistently placed their facilities near the highest minority populations possible. So who gets abortions in the U.S.? According to the Guttmacher Institute, which is Planned Parenthood's own public records keeping institution, black women in 2012 had the highest unintended pregnancy rates at 79 per 1,000, aged 15 to 44, compared to 33 for white women. Also, according to Guttmacher, black women received 30% of the abortions in 2011, while blacks are only 12.6% of the population. Hispanic women received 25% of the abortions, while Hispanics are only 16.3% of the population. Combined, these minorities received 55% of the abortions, but were only 29% of the population. Furthermore, according to the CDC, black women average 1.6 more pregnancies over their lifetime than white women, but are 5 times more likely to have an abortion. Hispanic women average 1.5 times more pregnancies than white women and are 2.3 times more likely to have an abortion. Planned Parenthood purposely places their largest abortion mills in or very near these communities, which is a contributing factor to these abortion rates. Overall, since 1973, 800 black babies are aborted daily by Planned Parenthood, reducing the American black population by some 17 million people. This is precisely why many of us pro-life types accuse this organization of being a white supremacist eugenics operation. In 1939, Margaret Sanger launched her infamous Negro Project, which was a scheme to control the growth of the black population. It has worked beyond her wildest dreams. To put these statistics in context, more black babies are aborted every year in New York City than are born. This number was verified by PolitiFact, a left-of-center fact-checking organization. Again, the link is in the description. According to the annual report from Planned Parenthood itself, 94.3% of pregnant women seeking help from Planned Parenthood get an abortion. Only 0.6% get adoption referrals, and 5.1% get prenatal care of any kind. They claim that abortions are only 3% of overall services they provide, but they get to that figure by seriously fudging the numbers. They arrive at this figure by counting an abortion procedure as only one service, the same as a pregnancy test, a pack of birth control pills, STD screening, or other service related to the abortion procedure. The bundling of similar services helps mask the real figures on abortions performed. Now let's take a look at Planned Parenthood's overseas operations. Can you guess which countries the organization is helping promote abortion in the most? If you guessed Africa, you'd be correct. Planned Parenthood has a real love of killing black babies and has goals of killing something like 300,000 of them annually in Africa by the end of the decade. That may not sound like much compared to the size of the continent and its population, but killing 300,000 babies annually via reasonably sophisticated medical procedure in developing countries is quite the task. The International Planned Parenthood Federation has the goal of spreading abortion to every country that it is illegal in. Thinking about that for a moment, traditionally, the left howls when companies want to open markets in developing countries, calling it cultural imperialism if Levi's wants to sell blue jeans to Nigerians. Yet they are willing to condone Planned Parenthood pushing abortion in these same countries, and they are not alone either. The Planned Parenthood Federation works with plenty of abortion-promoting nonprofits who claim to be doing economic and environmental development work in these countries, like Mercy Corps, and these nonprofits receive massive subsidies from the U.S. federal government to do this international development work. Often these organizations actively promote liberalizing abortion laws in order to receive development assistance. For example, the U.S. government provided federal grants to promote, quote, family planning, quote, in Azerbaijan in 2003, under the Bush administration. This policy was in effect until the Trump administration not only reinstated the Mexico City policy, but also barred funds for international agencies promoting any kind of eugenics policies of these kinds. And boy, did the left howl at that. The following is from the executive summary from the International Population Research Institute's 1996 report on the International Planned Parenthood Federation. On April 18, 1996, the Population Research Institute published a report detailing the involvement of the International Planned Parenthood Federation in promoting and performing abortion throughout the developing world. Since the release of the original report, PRI has discovered numerous additional documents explicitly describing IPPF's efforts to encourage the legalization and performance of abortions, particularly in the developing world. The International Planned Parenthood Federation is the largest and most influential family planning organization in the world. Since it was founded in Bombay in 1952, the IPPF has grown from 9 original national affiliates to 140 family planning associations and exerts unparalleled influence on the national policy making regarding population issues. In the last 25 years alone, the IPPF has expended the equivalent of more than $2 billion US, mostly provided by the governments of developed countries in the pursuit of its goals. The original IPPF mission was the initiation and support of family planning services throughout the world. Over the last 15 years, the IPPF has become increasingly unwilling to be perceived as a pure population control organization, and has thus recently emphasized such principles as responsible parenthood and the health of families and young people. Despite this apparent moderation of its stance, no other organization has done more to spread abortion throughout the world than the International Planned Parenthood Federation. Not satisfied to rest on its laurels, the IPPF has forcefully and repeatedly stated its intention to assist in the legalization of abortion in every country of the world, regardless of the means used, and has also voiced its unwillingness to set up and equip abortion centers and provide the expertise required to perform abortions on a massive scale. This report uses IPPF and other documents to show beyond a shadow of a doubt that IPPF fully intends to aggressively agitate for the legalization of abortion in every country in the world, regardless of local customs, laws, beliefs, or attitudes. What's clear is that Planned Parenthood operates internationally with an enormous focus on aborting non-white babies. This has to be framed in this way because it is the naked truth. Look at their history and ask yourself this question. If Planned Parenthood was founded by racist Nazi sympathizers who were overtly driven to promote eugenics, how has that changed today? It hasn't. I stand by what I said at the start. Planned Parenthood is white supremacy, and it is cultural imperialism of the very worst kind.
Thank you for listening. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on social media with links in the description. Dominus Vobiscum.